I think there's two things that are happening at once, and this is something that's very important for people to understand. One, there absolutely is an unprecedented abuse of power, destruction of norms, erosion of our government and our democracy in order to prop up an authoritarian style of governance. That is happening. However, they are weaker than they look. And it is important that we remember that, because what they rely on is the impression of power, the perception of inevitability, in us giving up in advance to say, oh, what's going to happen if I stand up, et cetera. Nothing's going to happen. They rely on that perception of inevitability and power so that people comply in advance and acquiesce in advance and give up in advance. And at the end of the day, Donald Trump is at record levels of unpopularity in his tenure. The Republican House is at record levels of unpopularity. They are underwater across the board, and they know it. And that is causing them to double down in public, but it is backfiring. That is why, whether it's a shutdown, whether it's all of this, they want us to blink first. And we have too much to save. Protecting people is too important a task for us to give up before anything even starts. So they may want to send people in, but these National Guardsmen do not want to be turned against their fellow Americans. We're seeing this here in Washington, D.C. It is an insult. Donald Trump is insulting the service members of this country by putting them on these silly tasks that they themselves do not want to be enforcing. And so we have to understand that standing up matters, that our voice matters, to not give in to this cynicism, because that is what they rely on in order to perpetuate this idea that they are that they have total immunity from consequence. They will experience the consequences of this, but we have to be the consequence, which is why we have to stand tall right now alongside everyday Americans. I will say, because I saw some senators speculating about this, and I saw some Republican members of Congress saying, oh, well, if we have this shutdown, it's because of AOC. Well, if that's the case, my office is open, and you are free to walk in and negotiate with me directly. Because what I'm not going to do is tolerate 4 million uninsured Americans because Donald Trump decided one day that he wants to just make sure that kids are dying because they don't have access to insurance. That's what's not going to happen. And so if those senators think that we're having a shutdown because of me, they're free to enter my office and negotiate, because what we're not going to do is allow all of millions of people in this country to not be able to afford their insulin and their chemotherapy. So come strike a deal with me if that's what they really think is going on.
The proposal is designed to prevent millions of Americans from losing their health insurance, losing Medicaid coverage, or paying higher health care premiums. Why are you against that?
That's an absurd statement, what you said there. Let's be clear about what happened last night, George.
Here are the facts. The proposal does not provide health care for illegal immigrants. Illegal immigrants cannot buy health care under the Affordable Care Act. They cannot receive health care subsidies. No. Illegal immigrants are ineligible for Medicare, Medicaid, and the Children's Health Program. The Democratic bill does not make them eligible.
Good morning, YouTube, and happy Friday. It's the weekend. I am so happy. So today I have a couple of clips for you from AOC and Speaker Mike Johnson, and basically it's giving you their messaging on the shutdown. So the Democrats, of course, are blaming the Republicans for the shutdown. The Republicans are blaming the Democrats for the shutdown, and I think I absolutely think that the Republicans are responsible for the shutdown. They are in charge of everything. They have the House, they have the Senate, they have the White House, and they have the Supreme Court. So they own the government. They are completely in control of our government. It is my belief that they are responsible for the shutdown. I also believe that they're responsible for the shutdown because it seems as if it's what Donald Trump and the Republicans want. Because remember, during the shutdown, the president determines what programs are funded, what operations are funded. So the things that he wants to be funded will be funded. And the things that the Democrats want will not be funded. It's the shutdown is it's harmful and hurtful to Americans and to America at large, but Donald Trump gained more power during the shutdown. And he's the person who caused the shutdown because he knew it's basically to get rid of Obamacare. All of this is about Obama's legacy to get rid of Obamacare. Is something that Trump tried to do in his first administration, and he was unsuccessful when John McCain did the thumb down gesture when they were talking about Obamacare. They were trying to get rid of Obamacare, and they had nothing to replace it with. Remember the repeal and replace? So they were supposed to repeal and replace Obamacare, but at the time that they were trying to vote to basically get rid of Obamacare, they had nothing to replace it with. So it's like the American people, remember Obamacare insured up to 20 million Americans. If they just get rid of it completely, which is what they're trying to do now, then 20 million people are going to be out of insurance. They had no medical insurance policy to replace Obamacare. They just wanted to get rid of Obamacare because Donald Trump wants to desecrate and he wants to do away with Obama's legacy. So he's willing to hurt all Americans. He's willing to go through all of this because he wants to get rid of Obamacare. This is about erasing Obama's legacy. And so people, who's to blame for the shutdown? Is it the right? Is it the left? Study, research, check your facts. The Republicans are in charge of the total government. Everything. House, Senate, presidency. The Supreme Court is bending to them. They are in charge of everything, our entire government. So who do you think should be responsible? The person in charge. Remember, the buck stops here. He's the president with both houses like a government. Like, what are we talking about? So there's that. AOC has some very good messaging. I love AOC. AOC is one, to me, AOC is one of the messengers. Her messaging, how she's able to mobilize people, how she's able to get people to believe, like, her and Jasmine Crockett, to me, they are the messengers, they are the fighters, and the Democrats are literally holding them back. And I think it's the reason the Democrats are losing. So AOC had some pretty good messaging. She was basically saying there were senators that were blaming her for the shutdown. And she was like, okay, so if I'm responsible for the shutdown, I'm more than willing to negotiate. The Democrats want there to be want 20 million Americans, I believe it's 20 million Americans, to be insured. Think about that. We're fighting over whether or not to insure Americans with medical insurance. That's what the fight is about. Donald Trump wants to basically put all of these people out of medical insurance, out of being insured, and the Democrats are fighting against that. And our nation is talking about who's responsible for the shutdown. So it's just crazy to me because originally I'm like, okay, whenever there's a shutdown, of course the public looks at all of Washington like most people have a very negative opinion of politicians. So most people, most everyday people, they kind of look at everybody in Washington like all of you guys suck, all of you guys are ineffective. Like you look at all of them the same, like you guys are just horrible. But when you really read into things and when you really see who people are fighting for, the Democrats are fighting for Americans to be insured and to have medical coverage. The Republicans are fighting to get rid of Obamacare, mostly because it has its name on it, and then because apparently they don't like the plan. So to me, who's responsible is a very, very simple conclusion to come to. But that's just me, apparently. So I wanted to bring these clips to you guys. What AOC messaging regarding the shutdown, Mike Johnson's messaging regarding the shutdown, who the public is going to blame, I'm not exactly sure. I think the last poll I looked at, it was kind of like even. I think the Republicans were, people said that they were responsible a little bit more. So I think the percentages were like 53-47 or something like that. But I guess we'll see. We'll see what happened. You guys, happy Friday. Like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you very much for tapping on this video. And thank you for engaging with me. You have a great day. Bye.